I want to talk about Von Erichs and probably one of the most worst storylines in wrestling history. And I've told you I've liked Von Erichs, Kerry, Kevin, WCCW, just a big fan. And, by 1984, tragedy had struck the Von Erichs, right? In WCCW. David Von Erich, the man that many thought would be the guy, world champion material, tragically passed away in Japan. His death left a serious void in that booking for that promotion, and it left a void in the Von Erich family. Around this time, Fritz kind of considered adding in another Von Erich to his legitimate clan. Fritz was his reasoning behind that was all about supply and demand. The fans demanded the Von Erichs every night, and his sons Kevin, Kerry, and Mike were being stretched real thin. It only got worse for the family because in '85, Mike had suffered from toxic shock syndrome and suffered a fever of about 107. The results were catastrophic for Mike because it is believed he suffered from some brain damage and was never the same in and out of the ring. With David gone and Mike struggling to make a comeback, Fritz decided to go ahead with his plan and introduce someone other than his real sons as a Von Erich. He found his new Von Erich in the form of an up-and-coming wrestler from Don Owens' Pacific Northwest promotion based out Portland, Oregon. His name there was Ricky Vaughn, and he was being pushed as a new star for the promotion, working side by side with the territory's biggest stars back then, including Bobby Jaggers, Billy Jack Haynes. Ricky Vaughn would now come to Texas and be known as Lance Von Erich. The backstory on Lance was created by Fritz, was that he was the long-lost cousin to the Von Erich boys. Fritz was his uncle, and his father was that of Fritz's former tag team partner and kayfabe brother, Waldo Von Erich. In reality, Waldo was in no way related to Fritz or the rest of the Atkinson family. Fritz went even so far as to acknowledge Lance's last gig in Portland territory as Ricky Vaughn. He said the reason he was named Ricky Vaughn was to try and make a name for himself without relying on the famous Von Erich name. And everyone in WCCW advised Fritz that this was a bad idea. His own sons at that time pleaded with him not to go through with it. But Fritz was adamant that it needed to be done. And he immediately threw Lance into feuds with Freebirds, Buzz Sawyer, and Rick Rude. He went on to win a few titles while teaming with his cousins and the Dingo Warrior, who was the Ultimate Warrior. Some fans accepted him for who he was claiming to be, while others were not convinced at all. Booker and manager, the late Gary Hart, said the fans would come up to him after the shows and tell him they knew that Lance wasn't a real Von Erich. That was huge considering the time or period it was around, when it was being protecting the business. It was important. It was paramount. And Gary Hart believed that many fans became angered by this and betrayed by the Von Erichs because they tried to trick them into believing in Lance. One of the worst decisions ever. Business for WCCW was beginning to cool down, and with that came front office changes like bringing in Bruiser Brody to help book shows. In an ironic twist of fate, Lance Von Erich wrestled Ric Flair for the NWA World title in Texas, the last time the NWA would come to WCCW. As it severed ties with the NWA, with Brody in power, Lance began slowly falling down the card. He was in some ways being phased, if not out of his plans for the promotion. That didn't sit well with Lance, and when he confronted Fritz, the two got into a heated argument. In a move to spite both Fritz and Bruiser Brody, Lance abruptly quit and went to work for a rival promotion in the territory. Fritz at this point was beyond livid, and in an extremely rare case of breaking kayfabe, if you remember, in the 1980s, Fritz went on TV and revealed to viewers that Lance Von Erich was all a lie. As for Von himself, his career never really recovered either. He wrestled around the world under different aliases, but never achieved an abundant amount of success. How about that for a bad storyline? I hope all is well.